Okay, in this tutorial I want to show you how to get going with your mapping for Half-Life 2. What I've done is I've already opened up my Steam application. I've already downloaded my source SDK over here, and what I have done is I'm all ready to go with my Hammer. Hammer is the editor that we're going to be working with. Now you'll notice down here it says current game, it says Foyleman, which I happen to be Foyleman, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. Foyleman is the one that I created whenever I first set up the editor, but recently I just made an update and it updated the Half-Life 2 Deathmatch for me. And it leaves me with these options down here, which are very important for selecting what kind of game you're working with. If you don't have these options, what you want to do is you want to head over to the modsonline.com forums and start searching or asking around to find out how to create this option within the editor so that you can work with the deathmatch maps. Alright, what I want to do is I want to select my Half-Life 2 deathmatch, and I want to load up Hammer, which I've actually already done to save a little bit of time. Here's Hammer application. What I want to do is I want to throw in the test room a single player, a light, and just show you how to get these basics down so that you can start creating your future masterpieces. Okay, so I'm going to go to File and I'm going to create a new map here. And what I have is I have 4 windows. First thing you see, perhaps you've done some modeling before, and this instantly reminds you of 3D Max or some other modeling program. Because what we have here is we have a camera view, which allows us to view things from the camera, whether it be textured or whatever it is, as if it were from a player perhaps. And then we have our 3 sides, our 3 planes of the 3D geometry. We have our top view, which is looking down the z-axis, which is why it just says X and Y, okay? And we have our front view and our side view, which is our Z, which you'll see is on both of these, which is why that's running vertical, it's running up and down, and showing our Y axis and our X axis over here, okay? What we need to do is we need to get ourselves familiar with a few things. We need to know that here's our arrow tool. That's going to be very important to us. We're going to be working with our entity tool. Okay, we're going to be adding our player spawn point, which is an entity. We're going to be adding a light, which is an entity. Okay, we're going to be creating blocks, brushes. You'll hear me referring to them as brushes a lot. That's going to be creating our walls and the different areas within it. All right, and we're also going to be working with our texture application, which happens to be sort of mirrored right over here for your convenience. You know, you can browse through the different textures that are available and apply the different textures. But I'm probably going to be working within this tool first, so that I can get you familiar with the different options that are available. Alright, something else you need to know. You can also change any of these views around so that it's more convenient, more familiar to you. If you're used to some other program that's similar but not quite the same, I could right click on this area and I can change the view if I want. And more importantly, I can also change the camera, the way the camera is displayed. See, I can show wireframe, which is just showing the outlines of these blocks, these brushes, okay? I could show flat, which is just going to put a solid color on each brush rather than the texture that we've applied, like the texture over here. Or 3D textured. I always like to work in 3D textured whenever possible because it gives me the best of all these worlds. So each one has its own purpose, and it also accommodates itself to your particular computer. So let's get into start making our room here. What I need to do is I need to start out by making a brush, okay, making our first block. I'm going to draw out a block here. What I did was, you see, I clicked on this block tool. You'll also want to get used to these shortcuts. I might not use them in this tutorial, but in future tutorials I'm going to be using them a lot because you got to know your shortcuts. It's the only way to get around. You can't be clicking through menus all the time just to get to each little tool, okay? So I'm going to draw out a brush right in here. I'm going to go like just something similar, like a 1024 by 512, I guess, something like that. There's my 512. Let's draw this out to 1024. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving my area here with the arrow keys. See, I can move my arrow keys, but notice no other window is moving around. That's because my cursor is in this window. If I move my cursor down to this window, it's going to move this area instead. And the same thing is going to hold true for the camera. So now what I want to do is I want to get the height going a little bit. I could probably get away with a room that's 128 units high. That's probably a little bit small. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it like twice as high. I'm going to go up to, well, not that high. I'm going to go up to 256, okay? Just to give you an idea. You'll see how high the ceiling really is, and you can accommodate it to whatever special map, special scene that you're trying to create. And here's our front view. It's just a small rectangle or a longer rectangle on the side, and you can see the top right down here. Now, in order to create our brush, I want my cursor to be in one of these 3 gridded areas, and I'm going to hit the Enter key. Now it's red. Red means it is selected. Now, in order for me to start working with moving this around or doing whatever I need to do, I need to get out of this mode and go into our selection tool, our Shift S, okay? I need to be able to do that because now I can move things around. You can see these vertices so that I can actually move them around. They're not really edges. Vertices are the individual points, where edges are the edges of the brush where I can expand or contract things individually. Now you can't see anything. Let me go over to this camera view and turn the camera around. That would be our wire view. And why is it wire view? Well, it is wire view because we're inside of it. We're inside of this solid brush. You see, within this editor, as well as the Quake type engines, within these engines, what we're doing is we're adding to empty space. We're putting a brush inside of here. So we need to, as we're building, we want to make sure that everything is enclosed, that we can't see into this emptiness. I'll get into that into more detail later. Whereas with, say, the Unreal editor or perhaps the Serious Sam editor, what we're doing is we're working in a negative space. This is like a solid brush, and we're cutting out a room, cutting out a hallway. I tend to find this much easier, but it's really just a matter of preference. Okay, let's turn this into a room. I'm going to do a little cheating here. Cheating because I'm not going to draw out each wall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools and Hollow. I'm going to make this hollow, our Control H. Okay, I'm going to make this into an empty area with all these 6 sides. Okay. Now, how thick do we want it to be? Well, this is also, again, all of these are a matter of preferences, but what I have found out is that walls, say hallway walls or room walls, they tend to look good to me whenever they're 8 units thick. Thick fence walls or things like that, I usually make about 16, which I'm going to make 16 in this case, and then you can go thicker or thinner, depending on whatever purpose you're doing here. I'm going to click OK, and you'll see now I have this hollowed room, and I can show you by going over to this 3D window, and I can move in, and it's hollow. I can see inside. You see, I don't see the outline anymore because I'm not in this solid area anymore. And for those of you who are used to using the Quake engine, I'm going to click in here. I'm going to use my scroll mouse key here to zoom in. Look at this. It is not overlapping brushes. See, with the Quake editor, whenever we used to hollow things, it used to cause the brushes to overlap. And overlapping textures, overlapping brushes, creates texture errors within the game, flashing textures, all kinds of different things that you don't want to have happen, and you have to go in and fix that. Well, now I don't have to fix that because this editor is a little more intuitive for me. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you how to go in and I want to texture these walls and these floor, ceiling. I want to texture them a little bit different. But you'll find out that, see, I can click on things in here, or I can hit the escape key to deselect things, okay? But whenever I click on just one, every single thing is selected. Well, why is that? That is because I had a solid brush and I hollowed it, and it automatically said everything that was part of this solid brush is part of a group. So what I want to do is I want to ungroup this. If I go up to Tools, you'll see I have Group or Ungroup. Grouping is nice whenever you want to put a bunch of brushes together and move them around because you're working with a whole bunch of them at once, and you don't want to have to keep selecting and deselecting all of the group. Okay, now I'm going to go to Ungroup. Now you'll find out that I can select each area separately. Very nice, alright? Okay, now let's get into texturing the walls. Let's get into a wall right here. I'm going to click on this texture application, the Shift A, okay? Like I said, I'm going to be using buttons for this tutorial. And I want to select a new texture for this wall. So I'm going to go into Browse, and it's going to go in through and it's going to show me every single texture that's available to me, which is too many, much more than I need to do. But I can use this filter key down here, and I can filter this out. Say, I want a wall. Let's look for everything that's wall. See that? Now it says it filtered out everything that has the word wall in it, and gave me just that. Very nice feature. I love this. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to select something. Something like, I don't know, how about if I select, this is going to drive me nuts, so I'll select, let's say I select this one. Okay, I'll double click it. Now it's selected in here, but it's not showing up in here because I have not yet applied it. I'm going to go Apply. Now, what's the first thing you see? You see that this texture is like, it's cut off, it's duplicating very poorly, doesn't look very good. Actually, looking at the way it's duplicating, I don't think I'm going to like this texture at all. So, before we go any further, let me just pick another one. because I know where this is going. This is going into something that has seams and doesn't look very good. Let me just pick something a little nicer. Perhaps this will look better. Okay, now, so I have it duplicating and it's not centered or anything. See, I can move things around. If I can go like this and I can apply it, and I can go like this and I can apply it, and things are actually shifting around. Perhaps you don't see it as well. What I want to do is I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to hit this fit. What it did was it went along and said, okay, one times width, one times height, and there's the texture scale showing up for you. Now I'm going to duplicate it. You see, what I want to do is I want to duplicate this height so that it's the same width. So it's 0.44. So if I type in 0.44 and I apply it, you'll find out texture automatically scales itself for me. That's a nice little shortcut so that I can apply that texture with a proper scaling. Now I want to throw this on all the walls. See what I just did? Right-clicked the wall that I wanted to apply the selected texture to. I love this feature. Just right-click, all our walls are done. Now that was simple. Alright, let's go up and let's do something with the wall. I left-click, because all this was right-clicking. I left-click up here. I'm going to find a new texture. This time let's sort by ceiling. C-E-I-L. Let's find something in here for a ceiling. Okay, here, look, this looks good. Going to apply that. 0.25, that's a perfect texture scale automatically set for me. That's usually what you want to work with whenever you can. There's our ceiling. Okay, I'm going to hit escape. Alright, no, I can't hit escape in here, but I can close this out, and there we go. It's deselected. That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to leave the floor the way it is because I don't need to get too crazy in here. Alright, our map is pretty much, our room is really finished. Okay, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to save. I'm going to save this as my test. It's a very good idea to continuously save your map because you never know when something's going to cause this editor to crash. I've been in too many situations where things are just lost, and it's such a headache. And whenever you start working with larger projects, huge maps, you're going to want to start saving these under different names so that you always have something to fall back on in case something gets corrupt along the way. That's very good advice, and I suggest you take it. Okay. Let's start adding a player spawn point, because we need a player spawn point. We need some light in here, because this room is going to be pitch black. Let's go with the player spawn point. I'm going to click on this, the entity tool. Shift-E is the shortcut here, and you'll see this little axe over here and the plus sign. I'm going to click in here. Now this tells me roughly where the entity is going to be placed. It hasn't been placed yet. And now I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to use this objects. I don't want to info player start. What I want is, since this is a deathmatch map, I want an info player deathmatch. Okay, now when I put my cursor in one of these 3D windows and I hit the enter key, it automatically inserts that entity for me. I'm going to go up to the arrow key because I need to zoom in here and move this guy down. Right now he's in the middle of the air and I don't want him spawning and then falling, and I certainly don't want to go click and find him in the middle of the floor. Now how do I get over this problem? Because right now I just like click, I can't get him in there. Well, what you want to do is you want to change this grid size, and you can do that up here. Here's smaller grid. Here's larger grid. I'm going to make this grid smaller. That's not small enough. One more. That's small enough. Now I can put the player right here on the floor. And you can look in here. You can see here's your player in the 3D window. And if you watch this, whenever I zoom into the player very closely, it turns into a little Gordon model. So you know it's a player. And then when you zoom back out, the level of detail changes. Because you don't need all that information drawing and slowing down your machine. Okay, we're done. Info player. I could technically just save this map, load it up in the game, and actually start playing. The problem is, like I said, I have a pitch black room. So let's go in, select our entity tool, and let's throw in a light. I'm going to throw in a light. Let's see. Zoom out a little bit. I need to move over. Let's put a light. Let's just put a light over in this area only, so that you can see the difference between the blackness and the lightness. Okay. And I'm going to go down here. And instead of scrolling through all these items, I happen to know that I want a light, so I'm going to just hit the letter L. And it's automatically going to bring me right down to light, because that happens to be the first L in there. That's a convenient little feature. Put my cursor in here, hit the enter key. Now I have a light. And I'm going to go over to the 3D window and move over, and I'm going to show you a couple settings that you could change if you wanted to. because we could just run this map and now we're all set to go really. But I can make sure I have this selected, and if I hit the Alt and hold down the Alt key and hit the Enter key, that brings up my properties, okay, which is also found under Edit, I believe, Edit Properties, Alt Enter. There we go. And it since I have light selected, it shows me my light. Okay, that's my class name, the light, and then it shows me all these other options that I can change. And what's important here, what I want to show you is the brightness, which also allows me to pick a color. Okay, so I'm going to leave the brightness at full brightness here, which is 200%. Okay, and then here's our color, our RGB color form. I'm going to pick a new color. I could pick something crazy like blue. Like let's say I did pick blue here. I said okay, and I apply it. Watch the light bulb over here on the left. When I apply it, it goes from white to blue. So that gives me an idea that that light bulb is going to be in a blue color. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick a more reasonable color, something that's a little more normal. Right about there, like an eggshell color or something like that. Okay, I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click apply. There's our light. Close out the window, and I am done. Now you see what happened there? I accidentally hit the entity key and it threw in another entity because I didn't go back and select my arrow. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to select that. I'm going to hit the delete key and remove it. There we go. I didn't need that extra light in there. Now I'm going to go up and I'm going to save my map. Good. I'm going to show you one other thing because I know you're all dying to add some super weapons or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to the entity. I'm going to show you how to add a weapon to the floor here. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to move my cursor over. I want a weapon to show up. Actually, let's have it show up under the light so that we can actually see it when we get the map, so it's not in the darkness here. Alright, now I'm going to go down to here. I'm going to go down to Objects and scroll way down to one of these weapons. Look at that. The AR2. Nice little weapon to add into a map if it's not already there. I'm going to hit the Enter key. Oh, let's make sure our cursor is in this gridded window. And there's the weapon. So should be that whenever I put my cursor in here and move around a little bit, there's the weapon that's going to spawn into the map with us. Okay, that's it. We're done. I'm going to save this map and I'm going to make it playable now. Now it's not playable already. Right now it is just a map file, and what the game does is it needs to run a BSP file. So what we're going to do is we're going to compile it. We can do that by hitting the F9 key. You'll also find it under File, Run, and it brings up this run map. These are the settings that we need to go into. Okay, first of all, don't run the game after compiling. We need to check because there are some errors with the editor that doesn't allow this to automatically run the game with your new map as soon as it is completed. So I'll show you how to do that right after we run this. What you do need to do is, if you see this is probably your default setting right here. So you're going to go in, you're going to click Don't run the game after compile. You're going to make sure all of these are normal. What are these? Okay. You have a map file, like I said. You need to turn it into a BSP first so that it can be recognized by the game. So that's what Run BSP does. It turns it into a basic BSP file. Then it goes into Viz. Viz is it runs a visualization program where what it does is it takes all of it and it turns it into something more efficient. It takes the maps and it divides it up where the walls are splitting. It turns different rooms into separate nodes so that say you have a large map and you have a room on the other side of the map. You're not supposed to, you can't see that map, so the game should not be able to draw it. And that's what this Viz is going to help you do. It's going to say, hey, I'm out of view, so don't draw me. So the Viz is like going to optimize things here. And then finally Rad, your radiance. That's going to put in the light. It's going to render the light into your map so that you have realistic lighting going on and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm ready to run the map. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to compile the map. Hopefully I can get the compile window into view for you as it goes through. Okay, and click OK. Alright, I can't move the window into view while it's compiling, apparently. There we go. But after it's done, see it's done, it'll show up over here. In our recording window is what I mean. It only took a second, but the larger the map it is, the more time it's going to take because it's got a lot more information to put together. Now I'm going to, as this is going through, I was watching and I was scanning through, make sure that there aren't any errors. Perhaps the most common error that someone new is going to experience is something called a leak, which I had no errors here. What a leak is, it is when there's a hole in the map. Remember I originally said that you don't want any holes going into this voidness of the map. That is a leak. That is an error that's going to stop the map and make it not work correctly. So you got to make sure that there are no holes at all. And just putting a giant box around your entire map and hollowing that out, that's not a good idea either, because that's just putting a band-aid on a giant problem. What you need to do is you need to solve the problem. Find that leak, solve it. Done. Okay, we have a BSP file. Now we have to make this file accessible to the game. Okay, we're done in the editor. We saved everything, we ran the compiler. I'm going to close this out. I am going to open up Windows Explorer. Okay, Windows File Explorer, here we go. Now I need to go over to where that map, where the BSP compiled, and copy that and paste it into the correct location. So you can follow me along here. It's going to be roughly the same as it is for you. I'll go to my C drive, program files, run down to Valve, Steam apps, your username. My username is Foyleman. And I'm going to go over to Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, because that's the map the mapping scheme I was using. I'm going to go to HL2MP, okay, because I was making a multiplayer map, and go over to Maps. That's going to be your destination. That's where you need to find your map, and you notice it is not there right now. So I'm going to go over to where it is currently, which should be source SDK, Half-Life 2 MP, sample content, maps. There it is, my test.bsp. I'm going to copy it, Control-C. I'm going to move over to this maps folder. You can see it up here in the address bar, okay? And I'm going to paste it. We're ready to play. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to load up Half-Life 2. Okay, here we go. I have my Half-Life 2 Deathmatch open. First thing you want to do is make sure of your options. If you haven't already done this, go over to Keyboard. Go over to Advanced. Here, Enable Developer Console. Very important, because you need to be able to hit the tilde key to open up the Developer Console so that you can type in the commands necessary. In this case, the commands are going to be so that we can run our custom map. In other cases, it may be so you can run test sequences, control a server, or do whatever you need to do. Okay? So, when I hit the tilde key, opens up my console, and I can type in what I need to do. Since I am going to be running my new map, my map name is called my_test. I'm going to type in map, space, my test, and hit enter, and it's going to load up the map for me. Okay, while that was loading up, what I did was I also paid attention that there weren't any very important errors going on. Let me open up that console again. I saw some of this. This looks like it's some old errors, something that's not important. What I'm looking for is make sure that it could find the spawn point and everything. Obviously it did, because I'm in my map. I'm going to click OK, and you see, look at that. I am in my map. Here's my dark area. Here's my light area with the light showing up. And over there in the distance I can see the weapon. So I'm going to run up to it. I'm going to pick up my new weapon. There you go. Beautiful. Alright, now you're ready to start mapping and making these masterpieces and sending them over to modsonline.com for download, alright? And I'll see you over there. Happy mapping.